Hey y'all, insight number 5, last one of the week here. So we're in chapters 5 and 6 of Hebrews. This is the first part of it. If you've missed the rest of the week, I really do encourage you to go back and watch them. There's just some beautiful scriptures in here, and it will explain why they're written this way and what this is about. So we're just going to go into chapter 5 and look at, it talks about holding the Melchizedek priesthood and what the difference is between Aaron and the order of Melchizedek. Gives you the brief things of there, and that Jesus Christ is the author of our salvation. But in verse 7 and through 9, it talks about Christ going through what he did, talking about the atonement again, and encouraging us to remember that and to take on that this has happened, that the law of Moses was fulfilled, and that this is something that can really help us. So I'm focusing here on verses that we can bring into our lives today and make for us now. So in verse 7 it says, "Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him." So that is talking about the atonement. So remember, and I tell about this, if you're the only one, if you think you're the only one saying, is there another way? You're not the first one to ask. Christ asked. Eve asked. Adam asked. A lot of people in Scripture have asked, is there no other way? And then, no, actually, this is the way. Maybe we're all Mandalorians. This is the way. The way is Jesus Christ. That is the way. So, in the days of his flesh, talking about Christ, when he offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears, remember he said, is there any other way? To the one who could save him, to God who could stop this and create another way. And was said, no, there's no other way. And remember, he said, but if there isn't, I will do this. But please, if there's another way. Now, I have said that many times in prayer. Like, this is the way you've told me to do it. This is the way you've instructed. But it's so freaking hard. It's so hard to the point of breaking. And yet I don't break. Because he strengthens you through it, but to the point of breaking. Is there another way? Is there another option? Is there something coming that I'm not seeing? So, if there is another way, please bring it. But if not, I choose to hold on. I choose to not let go, and I will do this. So, suffering through these kind of things, just like the Saviour suffered, but just like many people have suffered that we read about in the Scriptures and that we know about right now. And in our history, if we've done our family history, we'll see people have suffered with many different things that often do get passed on generational. So there's a lot of suffering. But suffering allows becoming and strength. So sometimes it just needs to happen for us to be able to get that strength. I was talking to my friend the other day and we're saying, what messed up childhoods we had and how fractured our families are. It's almost like, it was a screen on a phone and someone just smushed it and broke it up as best they could. Or like when you're baking and you've got a block of chocolate and you knead it into like bits and you get that rolling pin and you just smash it up real good. Or even biscuits when you're making a slice and you smash them up real good and then they come out looking better. We talk about kintsugi, where the Japanese practice of reforming things and putting gold in there to make it more beautiful than it was to begin with. And that's still happening with our respective families. And it probably will not be completed on this earth. But it does make it more beautiful. But Jesus suffered this too, which is the whole point. He did that again. So we can go through that and it allows us to be who we are. And that's what my friend was saying too. He's like, if I could go back and change it, I probably wouldn't. Even though it was horrendously bad. And I'm like, you know what? I'm almost at that point. I'd like to change a few things. I really would. But it has made me who I am. It has given me that strength and relationship with Christ at a very early age so that I was able to get through the other things that came. and allows me to be that strength for others. And even just the other night, I had a young man knock on the door who wanted to come talk to me about some things. And I'm like, you know what? If I hadn't have gone through any of those things, I couldn't have helped him. And I love this young man. We both do. Our whole ward does. Thinks he's awesome, but he's struggling, and understandably so. You know, when he talked to me, I was like, yeah, I get it, I hear you. But I've been there. And I have another friend, I have actually a lot of them, that there's people I can go to for stuff because they've been through it, and there's people that are coming to me, especially as I get older, you know. What's that trying to tell me? But that can come to me and ask these things because I've been through them. It makes the difference. So Jesus struggled too, and still is loved and able. You know, suffering's not actually a punishment. Suffering, which sounds really hard, it's a concept to get through. Sometimes the suffering we do, like, he won't actually come in and fix the thing, but he'll help us get through it. So I've written in my scriptures to think celestial, because that's what President Nelson did. And I know that's a lot of people are struggling with some of that, but it's not about being celestial now. It's about thinking in a way that will actually help us to think of a bigger plan. Again, back to Sister Runya's talk, there's a bunch of conference talks from this last conference that are just like, you know what? There's a whole lot more you don't see. Keep doing your best. Keep serving, keep loving, you know, and that the struggles that we're all going through, because there is hard things right now, really hard things right now for pretty much everybody I know. Family members dying, they can't get medical health, they can't find a house to live in. There's all sorts of things. Things that are suffering. And yet, you know, for many of them, they just look at what they're completely blessed with and embrace that. And I love that about them. They're thinking celestial. They're not thinking about, I don't have the newest car. They're just like, thank goodness we at least have a car. Thinking celestial right there. For the blessings they have. Be grateful for what they have. It is not a new concept. It's just probably a better way of saying it in 2 words rather than paragraphs, which is what I tend to do. So yeah, think on that. I love that. Just that, you know, you're not the only one. Just a reminder of, you're not the only one to say, was there a better way? Is there another way? And be turned down and say, but actually I'll still do this. Now in chapter 6, verses 13 through 20 are amazing. And it's talking about, it says there again, reminding of Abraham, starts off in 13, for when God made promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself. And this is God, it's talking about covenantal promises, and it's more than just a promise, it's an oath. And an oath is taken very seriously in scriptures, and I would hope so these days, that a promise is taken seriously, but an oath is even more serious, and that God doesn't just do words as promises. It's not fake and it's not empty, it's real and it's an oath. He really means it. And in 14 saying, surely blessing I will bless thee, and multiplying I will multiply thee. Like, it will happen. I will give this to you. And 15, and so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. Now that's talking about Moses specifically, but it applies to us too. 16, for men verily swear by the greater, and the oath for confirmation is to them an end of all strife. So there is no more wandering. It doesn't mean that all the problems go away, but the strife should. The unnecessary worry of it. Have a look in the topical guide around strife and what that refers to specifically. I think that will help. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be happy, skippy, unicorn land, but it does mean that you know more of the longer plan, that you can have that internal underlying peace that Christ offers. And if you know what that feels like, you're doing amazing at your relationship with Christ, because keep on that. But if you don't yet and you haven't felt that, because you can have anxiety and stress all over the place, but that underlying peace that you have, that's that relationship with Christ. So if you don't have that yet, keep working on it, because it is the most amazing feeling. And 18, talking about it was impossible for God to lie. And those who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope of that set before us, which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which entereth into that within the veil, with whether the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus. The forerunner of who is going to lead us through that veil at the end is Jesus Christ. And symbolically, we do that through the temple. Like we're accepted through that veil, but it's Christ that does that. He is the leader or the captain, and also the anchor of the boat, our sure foundation, our steadiness in the storm, all of that. They liken him into so many things to really try and help our brains understand what he is. Awesome language. And it's just beautiful, but to say that Jesus will not give up on you. He is your anchor, he is your captain, and he will lead you. And that's why we do our study called Come Follow Me. So, even Jesus, that's who it is. So I love those verses as well. And I just pray this week you've had something. I've gone over time again, so, forgive. But I just really pray that you can read this as much as you can. I encourage you mostly, if you've got shortened time, focus on 3 and 4. But there is good things in all these chapters, things that are just going to bring you closer to Christ. You're going to find probably different phrases than I focused on or different words that I focused on, but go with those. It says really relationship with Christ. It's about seeing Jesus. It's about knowing him and realizing that he isn't going to give up on you. He is there walking with you. He is going to lead you, but he also gives us prophets to teach us and lead us while he goes up and gathers from behind. And we talked about that when we talked about him being a shepherd and how that works. But get to know him. If you're feeling that you don't, these are great chapters for you to really focus on. And if you want to know him more and better, and we all could know him better, even me, even our prophet, we could know him better. There's always opportunity to know him better, and these are great verses to do that with. So give those a look at. And next week we finish off the rest of Hebrews, and there's just more beauty in there about Christ, and just great chapters to learn of Christ and exactly what the atonement means for all of us. So, there you go. I have a testimony, and I just pray that you can find one. But any questions or any comments, ask or DM me. I don't mind. And I will see you next week after you have an awesome, safe weekend. All right. Bye, guys. Mwah.